Thanks, Steffi, for these wonderful, warm opening words. I have to first of all make a big compliment to you all, actually. I think this is a wonderful, very, very special crowd, which is here diverse from different disciplines, from different cultures, from different companies or backgrounds. I'm really proud to host you here, and I think it's a fabulous event, actually, which we got organized here by the DLD team. Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, as CEO of Serviceplan, I would like to give you my point of view on beyond now. And in my case, obviously, this means beyond advertising. I could talk to you now about technologies, new technologies in advertising that are already beyond. I could talk about apps that use artificial intelligence to turn text into stunning images within seconds. By the way, all the charts you will be seeing here now afterwards, in my presentation today are done by an AI app called Midjourney. I could talk about how ChatGPT creates a ready-made press release or website text on any topic, not yet perfect, but on an astonishingly high level. By the way, my daughter tried to convince me that she would hand in her school thesis yesterday on OpenAI, and my only way to talk her out of it was that I told her that German schools had artificial intelligence now to discover that it was done by artificial intelligence, and then she got away with it. She left it. But anyways, I could also tell you about new targeting technologies and how we are using them to capture even the smallest consumer groups and offer them the most personalized products, services, and advertising experiences ever. And I would have to admit that all these possibilities by these technologies are so vast that we're just about to sense them. That's just at a start. But you know what? I'd like to switch the focus for today. I'd like to go one step further and ask, what lies beyond advertising as it is today? What comes after today's AI-optimized placements of tested advertising messages in a precisely defined target group with a maximum reach and a minimum of loss? Is it more? Is it better? Is it different technology? I believe not. Because there's one thing we have to admit to ourselves. No matter how sophisticated our technological possibilities are, no matter how powerful actually our data-driven approaches are, for some years now we have noticed that more and more people are turning away from us in our work. They're overwhelmed, they often feel stalked, and they are simply overloaded. According to a study from 2021, about 50% of the people are annoyed by internet advertising. Even worse, some advertising even generates negative reactions. In our experience, people do not just look away bored, but actively resist sometimes the influence of advertising. And even though we can target messages today more precisely than ever before, we've not been able to prevent people from rejecting the perceived influence of advertising, especially on the growing digital channels. They even joined forces together in so-called stop advertising movements. Should we be concerned about this? No, we shouldn't. We should be alarmed, honestly. And we need to act. We need to act quickly, because I believe if we don't, we lose the people, and with them we lose everything what makes our industry. As a representative of my industry, I don't want to be mistaken. I don't want to deny the opportunities of digitalization for marketing or to engage in cheap technology bashing. That's really not my point. Data-driven approaches, and we at Serviceplan take a particular pride in this, to have been quite early on this one. AI tools and automation help us. They can make advertising more relevant to consumers and more efficient for the advertiser. It means that they receive, without sometimes noticing, information that is tailored to them and offers an added value. There's no doubt about it. But in my opinion, there's one thing that has been lost out of sight in all these discussions. It's the human factor. The human is not first and foremost an addressee, a consumer, or a user. The human being is an emotional being who above all wants to feel taken seriously and valued. And therefore, what we need to find, this is my central point for today, is a new synthesis of technology and empathy, of automation and emotion. If we want to stop the loss of acceptance that is affecting our industry, we must not make advertising pressure, sales funnels and product features or tech tools the core of our thinking, but the human being again itself, holistically. And in order to succeed sustainably, we must deliver the answers, from my point of view, to three major questions for the future. The first question is, how do we become relevant again? In other words, how do we get out of the spam folders in people's heads and make a serious contribution to their lives? By, that's my answer, finally talking about what really moves people. Obviously, we tend to align our strategies with our clients' marketing objectives. But why is it so hard for us to realize that advertising shouldn't be about ourselves first? Many people, especially the mysterious Gen Z, turn away from companies and their products as soon as they notice that they only talk about their products and themselves in a self-referential way. And consumers' expectations have long changed. Especially the most desired target groups, young, educated, above average income, net household, are 1,000 times more concerned about issues such as climate change, diversity, social cohesion, new work, or just finding a friend, as Scott Galloway told us this morning, than about some quirky technical detail in an e-car or a fresh scent in the latest fabric softener. With this in mind, we need to listen even more carefully and look more closely at the issues we consider relevant. We need to adopt even more radically the perspective of the group of work, of the group our work is intended for. The people, not the marketing department, not the agencies. Today, the relevance of communication is no longer measured by whether it is on strategy, I believe, from the sender's point of view, but whether it's on relevance and really hits the nerve of the people. A brand that promises product benefits and has an emotional glue because it means something to the people, that is approachable, embodies the same values as its target group, is not only appreciated, it is loved, and it is purchased. Talking about love, when we think about beyond advertising, we should not only question which topics we should pick up, but also how we do it. And therefore, the second question, from my point of view, for the future is, how do we get again into the heart of the people? The key is, from my point of view, to tell emotional stories again that touch people. Heartwarming stories that make you think again or even act without being morally instructive. My creative colleagues recently have created a beautiful example. I've produced a film that moved really the whole country here in Germany and beyond, almost without effects, without CGI, with only very few actors and a low budget, and yet it has been the subject of intense and controversial debates for weeks here. This film, called The Wish, for our client Penny, was not clicked away. On contrary, it was actively shared by millions of times. Why? Because it dealt with the consequences of the COVID pandemic for millions of young people and their parents in a very touching way, and was thus exactly on relevance. The video has been viewed more than 20 million times, full length, on streaming platforms to date. Almost 200 media outlets have reported on it all over Europe. But what I find much more important is that millions of families felt it. And even I honestly get carried away by it every time again when I'm watching it for about the 100th times. But have a look at it yourself.
Willst du auch nicht schlafen?
Nee.
Was wünschst du dir eigentlich zu Weihnachten?
Ich wünsche mir, dass du nicht immer zu Hause rumhängst. Dass du dich einfach rausschleichst.
Ja, ich bin gleich da.
Wir nicht wissen, wo du bist. Ich wünsche mir, dass Papa dich abholen muss. Weil du viel zu viel getrunken hast. Ich wünsche mir, dass du die Schule schleifen lässt. Weil dir alles andere wichtiger ist. Weil es dir scheißegal ist, was ich davon halte. Ich wünsche mir, dass du hier heimlich eine Party feierst. Und dass du diesem Mädchen endlich sagst, dass du sie liebst.
Ich mag dich.
Ich mag dich auch. Und dass sie dir das Herz bricht. Dass du dann losziehst. Ich mag dich auch. Ich wünsche mir einfach, dass du deine Jugend zurückbekommst.
And it's now or never. I ain't gonna live forever. I just wanna live while I'm alive. My heart is like an open highway. Like Frankie said, I did it my way. I just wanna live while I'm alive.
Thanks. To round things up, I would like to give you a glimpse of what is possible when empathy for target groups, emotional storytelling, and latest technology come together in a most creative way. And this is perhaps the answer to the third question for the future. How do we really become part of people's lives? I'm convinced that advertising will truly become beyond when it's no longer fed to people from outside, but when it's constantly present as a natural part of their lives. When brands are no longer perceived as senders of exchangeable marketing messages, but as friends, as personal companions who communicate with them as individuals and provide solutions, depending on their very situation. This is really beyond advertising. Let me give you one example that impressed me some days ago. BMW at CES took a big step in this direction with the presentation of what they call the iVision D. It's promising a car with emotions and personality. This project study is less a car, it's a fully interactive user interface on wheels. It addresses users with all their senses, before, during, and after the journey, responding to all their needs, even to those they did not know they had. This may sound still a futuristic dream to some of us, but it's not. It's exactly the future I believe we need to be prepared for. An important step towards this future, however, is to develop brands into unique, approachable personalities that people are happy to let into their lives. This demands above all that brands speak with a unified and clearly recognizable voice on all channels and not in individual silos, as it is often the case today. This is the only way brands can interact with people on eye level and build long-term emotional relationships. I know I started quite pessimistic, with a pessimistic description of advertising as it is today, but for this I want to end up on a hopeful, positive, optimistic note. Because I'm convinced that brands that seriously answer the three future questions of relevance, emotion, and immersion will be able to advertise effectively and efficiently at the same time. These brands can become lighthouses again, even in times like these. They will be shining brightly, and not only in terms of turnover and market shares, but also with regard to genuine social and cultural relevance. My and our industry is perhaps only making a modest contribution to the beyond now, but especially today, I believe, it's important to be the right one. Excuse me for the 3 minutes too long time. Thank you very much for your attention. Pleasure to talk to you soon.